welcome to episode 5 of Big Bad Bodybuilding. I'm your host, Zach Barnard, as with me as always, co-host Dennis Wolf, coming to us from Las Vegas. Dennis, why don't you give us your New Year's resolution and then introduce our special guest.
What's up, Zach? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Well, New Year's resolutions is not my thing, but what I plan is continue to, rock, stay healthy, and we have a couple of new plans coming up. We are going to announce it in a couple of weeks with my partner, Zach. We are working on something special for you guys. This is, one of my resolutions for New Year. Also planning a tour in Russia. I have my Dennis Wolf Classic coming up in April in Germany. So, basically trying to grow in everything what I do. So, I would like to introduce you our today's guest. I'm so much looking forward to it. It's my former brother in iron, Evan Centopani. Welcome.
Hey. Dennis, thanks for having me. Thank you, guys. It's cool to be here. Dude, it's crazy to think that it feels like yesterday we were on stage competing against each other.
Right.
We're going to get into that. I actually got some footage. I'm going to let you guys critique yourself here in a minute. But yeah, for sure. YouTube's a magical thing. But getting in just real quick on the New Year's, I was kind of baiting you on that one. So I think as bodybuilders, and Evan could correct me, but I've never in my life had a New Year's resolution, right? Because we're just such, beings of habit, and everything. If you're not doing it all the time, you're not going to do it starting the year. And, it's always a weight loss thing or something with New Year's resolutions, but I literally have never had one. It's almost offends me when people ask me that. I'm like, if you're not doing it already, it doesn't mean that much enough to you. Am I wrong? I mean, right? Like, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, I think most of us as bodybuilders, we're so hypercritical of ourselves that we kind of almost wake up every day saying, okay, today or this week or whatever it is, I need to do this. And we already know it. We're hyper aware of it. So resolutions, not so much.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, that's why I said it's not my thing, So I'm just continue to get better and in anything I do. And most important is to stay healthy. Look at today's, news and everything, what's going on. So many people die from whatever it is. I mean, so many people get more sick these days. So, that's it's a little bit scary, So, and then of course we are coming from bodybuilding. We are beat up our bodies, and that's why I'm kind of trying to keep my body working, so it's still there, It's still get some blood moving and all that. So just to keep my heart working, not too overworking, but working good, and that's what I'm looking for, So, but no, there's no plans like, next year I'm gonna do that, next year I'm gonna do that, So no,
no comeback,
no comeback. But I remember you tried it once, right? And then
we're gonna get into that. All right, let's pick it up. Evan, this is our 5th episode, and when we started this, Dennis and I, we want to give good bodybuilding content, information from his experience and people that we have on the show, but we definitely wanted to bring guys like yourself on, and you guys just talk to us about, we hear a lot about the 90s bodybuilders and how they reminisce. Well, now you guys are kind of stepping up the 210s and things like that, and we want to hear you guys' stories. So, fortunately, you're the first one that Dennis competed against, and we're really happy to have you on the show. So today we're going to talk more about, kind of the reminiscing and nostalgic types things versus actual bodybuilding content. But, you guys feel free to mix that in when appropriate. Evan, when you came on the scene, 2000, when was that?
2009,
I believe. 2009, right? You came in hot, won the New York Pro. On that one, why? And then you didn't compete again until 2011. Is that correct?
Yep.
What did you have an injury, or did you just feel like you weren't ready to do the Olympia, or why? Because you took a few years before you actually did the Olympia. Why was that?
I just felt like the other guys were so much bigger than I was, and even when I won New York, competing against Dennis James and Marcus Rule, they were so much bigger. than me. I felt like I was able to win because, I mean, to be totally fair, Dennis James and Marcus Rule, both better bodybuilders than me. But me competing against them toward the end of their career, and having good conditioning, I was able to win. But I knew that, to compete against guys who were in their prime, I was going to need that size. So I kind of felt compelled after the New York Pro to take some time and put size on.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So fast forward a couple years, 2011, I believe the Flex Pro, I think that's when you and Dennis first competed against each other. And Dennis, why don't you tell us what happened there?
It's pretty simple. Evan beat my ass. So that was, I think it was 2 weeks before the Arnold in 2011. And I decided on a short notice to compete in California, at the Flex Pro, because Dexter was competing and he was a champ, Arnold Classic champ. And I thought, man, that's going to be a good start if I can beat him, 2 weeks out. And then, I would have bigger chances winning the Arnold Classic, right? So get there and ended up fourth. So, that was very disappointing for me, and then, being in preparation for the Arnold, the second biggest show in the world, and have this disappointment, of course, it changed my prep for sure. The following 2 weeks, and I was able to, turn it around and ended up second at the Arnold. And of course, I mean, there were Dexter. There was, I think, second was fourth, right?
Fuad, it was
Fuad and Dexter.
Me, Dexter, Fuad, and then you, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of switching it up in my head. Who was the second place, Dexter or Fuad? Because I remember Fuad was, he beat me at that show too. So, like I said, being fourth and going into that like a favorite, that was like a step in my heart, So like, fuck.
All right, so here we go. I got right behind me. We got 2011. All right, here we go. This is the 2011 Arnold. If you guys remember, it's right. You two and Branch in the middle. Exactly. That's right. I have to say, I think Branch had you guys on tan this year. You know what?
100%. Play that one again. Look,
absolutely. And dude, I've seen some of Branch's tan jobs, and some of them are a little off. So I don't know what happened to you guys' tan game on that one. But
no, look, back in the days, we only had like pro tan, and the problem was my skin was reacting to that kind of like there was a chemical reaction. So every time I put extra coat on me, I turned green. So and then. The protein girls told me that Branch is using something to balance that a little bit out. So and but I don't know what, but one day it just started looking good on me. But before that, I was criticized for my tan, and that was ridiculous,
Yeah, that's tough, man. When you do all that prep and everything goes right, but the tan, but.
Yeah,
so this one you guys
mess up everything. Yes,
right. These guys and you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this was the same top three the next year. Is right in 2012.
In 2012, Victor. Well, in 2011, Victor I think took third, but in 2012, I think I took third.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
11.
So 11. This was 2011.
That was 11. Yeah. 2011, I was second. You were third. Branch won. And 2012, I didn't compete at the Arnold.
Okay. No. All right. Then this is incorrect. This says 2012 right here, brother.
2012, I was second again. So
okay.
Then
there it is.
I think Victor was third.
Right.
All right. So this is 2012 here. So it looks like the same top three. Am I wrong?
Very similar. But Victor took top three, and he was third in 2011, and I was fourth.
Okay. All right. And then you moved up one, right? Yeah. Correct here on the next year. Okay. Tan looks better this year for sure. Did you notice any difference between those 2 years, Evan? Did you feel like you came in better? And I don't know if this was your best performance. I know you didn't win the show, but
Honestly, I felt like 2011 was like just my peak overall.
Yeah.
That was just the best I ever in my career. And when I came into the Arnold that year, the combination of size and fullness and condition, I think maybe 2012 I was a little better, but I don't think so. I think to me 2011 was my best.
Yeah. I looked at it.
I think so too, because I think you were kind of having your you know, you are not a rookie anymore, but you're a new pro and just won New York, you know, and you were hyped that year, you know, you were in prep and everybody was like, oh man, Evan is coming, you know, blah, blah. So I remember this time. So yeah. And of course, if you're I think there's like two peaks in your life. So when you're young, just, you know, when the body is still young, looking like healthy, you know, the muscles are super nice, you know, then there's a like first peak. And then the second peak is you're like mid 30s and 30s where you just, where, you know, the body is at the limits, like everything is just at the limits, you know, you're build out everything what you could over the past, you know, and that's the peak. So, and I think that was your first peak, and the second peak you probably couldn't reach because of the injuries and everything what came after.
Yeah,
so that happens in bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer the way that it ended, but you know, it's okay. I mean, when I think back on my career, I'm really, really grateful to have been a pro and to have traveled around the world and competed with some, you know, legends in the sport. So I can't be disappointed.
Yeah.
So when I knew you were coming on, Evan, I texted Dennis. I was like, "You got any old pics or videos or anything you remember?" So he sent me these shots yesterday, and these are sick. Can you guys tell me anything about this photo shoot? If you remember it, what year it was? And just give us a background in the fans, like what happens at these shoots. I mean, I doubt you're actually screaming at each other for one more rep, right? When you're doing these things. But I mean, you know, how much of it's kind of set up? And I mean, do you guys do a full workout, or are you guys just showing up? And I mean, you know, give us some rundown on some of these. These shots are awesome.
It's pretty staged, you know. The stuff that I always shot with muscular development, whether it was Per Bernal shooting it, or toward the end, there was another photographer. Oh, I follow him on Instagram. I apologize. His name is slipping my mind at the moment, but those photo shoots were always kind of staged. But yeah, I mean, me and Dennis weren't really working out. It was like, okay, now, you know, yell at him. I was like, ah.
Was this one? I mean, they're typically right after the show, right? They don't jack with you guys when you're prepping. These are usually like on a Sunday or day after the show.
Yeah, like right after the show. And, you know, some of the best photos I ever took, at least with Per Bernal, it was like maybe 3 weeks before the show. They asked to do a photo shoot. And I said, yeah, come to the gym and I'm just going to do a regular workout. And you follow me and take pictures. And honestly, because it was real and it was authentic, it was some of the best stuff they ever got. And I wish they did more of that, you know, over the years.
Yeah,
so I want to ask you.
I did it a couple of times with Per Bernal as well. I remember we were shooting for MD. So I was like 2 weeks out. And once I was like 6 weeks out of Olympia. And, you know, MD will send Per Bernal. And actually, you know, you just do your normal training. There's no stress. There's no like pretending to kind of, you know, lift heavy, whatever. But you do your training and what comes out, it's absolutely beautiful because it's real. Yeah, I agree with that, you know. But it was not very often. It was not there very often. Mostly it's like the next, like after Olympia, 2 days at least, we were shooting, you know.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I never really liked the way that I looked after a show. I always felt like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, I'm full, but I'm also dry. And I always felt like it looked the best. And then after the show, you know, you're depleted, but then also you're starting to get the water is starting to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never liked shooting after a show.
No, I could see I was the same way. Obviously not on you guys' level, but the same even at the amateur level. You know, you look good for a second and then it fades, so you're kind of flat and full. You know, but you're holding that water at the same time. So I could definitely see that leading into y'all would get definitely the best shoots. Here's a strange question. Did you ever do one of these with a guy that they paired you up with that you just did not like the person and you showed up and had to do it and were like, let's just get this over with? Or we're everybody pretty much cool with each other? I mean, there had to have been at least one where you're like, this jackass dude, really?
I'm trying to think, but I can't. No, luckily I always got along with pretty much everybody. You know, I shot with Dennis, I shot with Branch, I shot with Victor, and I got along with everybody. Yeah, no, all
right, fair enough.
And
Dennis, how about you? Did you look forward to these where you shot with another, like a fellow competitor, or would you prefer to just do them on your own? Were they more fun doing it with somebody?
It was always nice to shoot with somebody because you could kind of alternate and take a break. Because I don't know, you know, taking pictures after a show, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but for anybody watching, number one, you're exhausted from competing, and the shoots are hard. You know, you would think, oh, those are fake weights or things like that. It's not fake. The weights are real, and you're doing photo over and over and over, and you're doing it all day long. So when you have somebody that you can take a break with and let them go, you know, I'm more than happy to share the camera with somebody else.
Right.
It's like,
here's a load of
if you listen to amateurs or back in the days, amateurs I knew, they would love to shoot, right? So, I mean, but I was like unhappy every time I had to shoot like extra day or whatever. So I always knew, okay, one day after the show, it's always a must. You know, you have to shoot for your sponsors, for all the magazines, you know, you're with. That's normal. But like you said, you are so exhausted from like Olympia, 2 days competing, right? So you don't feel your body. So, and sometimes you're already feeling like it's you know, you get worry under the skin because of the food a little bit, you know, not the night before, but the day, you know, the shooting day, you have to eat in between. So what are you going to eat? You eat like a burger, this and that, and all of that. It doesn't feel right. Yeah. So, and of course, what I said before, shooting with somebody, with another athlete was always fun because you actually got to talk to him, you know, like to kind of feel the personality, you know, and most of the times, you know, you're kind of end up like being buddy with the person, you know, with the athlete. So I always love that, you know, and
nice.
Yeah, and then there's always like funny times. You know, I shot with Marcus, you know, once or many times, but one time was especially like, you know, he was fed up with all the food, and he was like kind of, you know, couldn't hold his farts away, you know, all the stuff. That was like, you know, crazy. And then also what I like, there was one Olympia, the whole gym, right, at the Sand Hill Flamingo here in Las Vegas, which is already not existing. It was the biggest Gold's gym here. There were like 6 or 7 photographers, you know, and like top 6, 7 from Olympia. That was insane. So that's what you won't see today. This is like what I miss these days.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a loaded question for you guys, and you can answer it or just kind of give me your thoughts. What do you think your physiques that we just saw is a 2011 version for both you guys? Maybe it's 2014 for you, Dennis. Where do you think you guys would stack up in today's Open? Do you think it would be very competitive? Do you think it's regressed? Where do you see you guys landing as far, let's just say like in the Arnold in March? I mean, would you guys be top 10?
It's very hard for me to judge myself. But I feel like if Dennis was walking into it, he could win it again. You know, his size. Dennis was such a big bodybuilder, and I guess maybe nowadays a guy like, you know, Samson is big, but there's not many big guys like there was, you know, in that previous era. So I still think a guy like Dennis could be very dominant. Me, I don't know. I can't judge myself.
Thanks.
That's
a
safe answer right there.
You know, I mean, every time I post something, you know, you get the comments like, oh man, uncrowned Mr. Olympia and all of that. But look, you can't turn the time back, so it's over. But it's always interesting, like what will happen, right? So, but it's a good thing, kind of to think too, So it kind of keeps you up a little bit, and like motivated maybe. But it's like I said, it's even looking in the 90s, right? The quality and level. I still would say that would even do great in our time, So there always been athletes who were extraordinarily like impressive, big and impressive, So you don't see that much today, Of course, you always have a couple athletes who are like amazing and looking great, and then looking like a champions, and making the way to the top. But back then it was more difficult, I would say.
Evan, on as far as your retirement goes, would you say that? And I know you were attempting a kind of a comeback there in 2020. Would you say it was more injury driven or more just motivational?
It was more like me feeling like I didn't get to finish on my own terms and just wanted to. A lot of it too is just the refusal to accept it being done. And in hindsight, I'm not happy with the way it ended, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't get to stick around for too long, not being competitive, and you start to not look good, and oh geez, he looks terrible, he should hang it up. And to be honest, practically speaking, as time goes on, subjecting yourself to the stresses of professional bodybuilding in your 30s or your late 30s is a lot different than when you're in your 20s. And it's good, I think, to end that, earlier instead of later.
Right. One question, was there any desire at all to consider doing the Masters Olympia last year when they said bringing it back? No?
Didn't even enter my mind.
Fair enough. Okay, just thought I'd throw it out there. I mean, just because you were so close in 2020 coming back, and you mentioned earlier you didn't feel like you were quite there. What kind of package do you think you would have brought that year? Would it have been competitive?
Yeah, probably a little bit down in size, but I would still bring the condition. And then who knows? It just depends on who would show up that day and how everyone else would look. But I don't think it would be my best. And at this point, it's just, to be a good bodybuilder, especially at the professional level, it's like any other high-level career. You have to really be obsessed with it. It has to be the only thing you think about. And I'll be honest, as time went on, as I got older, I just wasn't obsessed like I was when I was younger. It wasn't as exciting. And I have 2 kids. I started to think more about my kids or my family. My father was going through cancer treatment. Between my kids, my family, you just start thinking about things that are just more important. You're like, I'm a grown man and I'm obsessed with, the size of my biceps or my legs. And it's just like, you start to feel like it's silly.
I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm 43 now myself. I'm kind of I'm right there with you guys. Just, still love to train, still love to live the lifestyle, but it's it's not as a high priority. And it's like you said, I've got 3 younger children too. So that, definitely takes over. So yeah, I can respect that. Evan, you've been around for a while on YouTube. You've been making videos for over 8 years, it seems like now. And I've always respected that because yours are very educational, and you were doing all this information given away more or less for free, before a lot of people were. I saw one where you're like building gym equipment, all that kind of stuff. Do you still have the gym at your house, or have you kind of moved on from that as well?
Yeah, I use it every morning. I'm so busy now with work that I don't really get the chance to make it to the gym. I just don't have as much time. So I'm up at 4 a.m. I eat my first meal, and then by 5 a.m. I'm working out. I'm done by 6. I get ready, and I get to the office. So I use it all the time. It's one of the best things I ever did was put that gym together.
Yeah, well, we're on the same page there because I know Dennis trains at home. Now, his is outside. So right now, Dennis, how is that, 40-degree weather at 6 a.m.?
Cold,
are you regretting that?
It's really cold. So my good friend and training partner, Steve, is on vacation with his family and with his wife. And, so I start training a little bit later, not at 6. So I'm training like, I don't know, at 10 or so, so kind of using that warmer weather, like 6 a.m. is, I don't know, it's like what, 35, 40s. And believe me, everything else is great. It feels great, but touching the iron or just to warm up in the beginning, it takes you like 10 to 15 minutes. And then you have to train. The colder it is, then you have the faster you gotta train, or to keep the rest between the sets shorter. So, and this is doable, right? But I don't know. I don't think it's easy on the body, because when I come in, until I'm done with my breakfast, that's like an hour after, I still feel like my feet are cold and all that. So, and I don't think it's a good idea to keep it up at the moment. So that's why I wait until it's a little warmer, sun is out, and training in the sun is feels like 10 degrees warmer anyways.
Nice. I got you. Well, I've got a heated gym here, so yeah, I'm definitely not going outside.
You're lucky.
We'll do some sled pulls out in the cold, though. That's fun every once in a while.
Yes.
Evan, when I first heard Dennis said you agreed to come on the show, the first thing that still pops in my head when I hear your name, and I want you to break this down for me, is a 2014 video where you're training with JN Meadows. I believe it's at the Elite FTS compound. And I remember watching that video, and it was kind of my first introduction to like the Bulgarian split squat, which I immediately started implementing into my training. And of course, my favorite part on that is just you with the puke bucket, and they did not hold back. They just show you emptied the tank on that thing. So was it the Bulgarian split squats, or was it just the general volume that y'all did that day? Because man, you were done.
I know that everybody thinks they train hard. But I will be honest, I generally train pretty hard. I train with a lot of volume, heavy weight, higher reps. That workout was difficult. It was not that much more difficult than what I typically do. I think that just, you're traveling, things are off. I don't know. Something just wasn't sitting right with me that morning. It was partially the workout, sure, but I know it probably looked like, Evan got his ass whipped. The workout hit him so bad. But I don't know if you're familiar with Oscar Ardon, the guy who trained Kai for all those years. Mm-hmm. The workouts that he put me through were absolutely torturous. All right, nothing will compare to those. The volume, the weight, the forced reps, the drop sets. It was just nauseating, and it was always compound movements. It was always high rep squats and big deadlifts and barbell rows, and just stuff that would just make you just barf your brains out if you weren't used to it. So I was already very accustomed to some pretty hard training. I got to be honest, I think something was just off that morning. I don't think something was sitting right.
I got you, man. It comes across, just as it was the workout, and I was like, I'm sure he trains that hard all the time, but it stuck in my head, so they did a good job with that one. But so the Elite Compound, right? Is that somewhere? It's in Ohio, right? How close is that to Columbus? And can people? Clearly, you can't just show up at that gym. Is it just kind of a closed, like Dave Tate's kind of deal, and it's an invite only kind of thing?
Yeah,
is that how that works?
Invited. It's not far outside of Columbus, from what I remember. I stayed with John when we trained there, but Dave was really, really cool. And it was an awesome gym. The equipment they have was great. And, you could tell these were dudes who were really accustomed to, I know Dave, I'm pretty sure he came from Westside Barbell initially. And, John was very much, a student of just intensity and different training techniques, and had been in the sport for so long. So the two of them together was a really great pair. Yeah, it was cool.
I've always liked watching videos from there because they've done a great job. Because initially, at least the way it is around here, you have your bodybuilders and you have your powerlifters, and sometimes a strongman will fall in with the powerlifters, but it's kind of divided. But it seems like they've done a real good job of like bringing the two together. And I mean, I know John came from powerlifting, somewhat background, but man, they're all doing it together, and it's pretty cool to see those two like subcultures kind of like merge and train together.
As it should be. I mean, I think obviously at the highest level, it's going to be very specialized, and a top level bodybuilder is not going to have that much overlap with a top level power lifter. But in an off season, there's probably things that both can borrow, or at any time really, that both can borrow from each other, especially when you look back at, the bodybuilders who were competing in the 60s. I think a lot of them used to power lift in their off seasons. So, sometimes things end up a little too specialized or a little too segregated, when the reality is there can be a good bit of overlap and both can benefit from each other.
Right. I want to ask you also about your original gym, Montanari, the Montanari Bros gym. Do you still live close to there? And when you're not at home, do you still train there occasionally?
Yeah. So, I'm about 25 minutes away, 25, 30 minutes. I'm going to give my biased opinion. It's the best gym anywhere.
It's awesome. I've been up there. It was years ago, but I remember your picture on the wall. It's been probably, 8 or 9 years, but I remember going up there. It is an awesome gym. Dennis, have you ever trained there? Do you know which gym we're talking about?
Unfortunately not.
I'll let Evan brag on it. It's pretty sweet, man.
It's such a great place. And, there's so many different elements that make a good gym. You say, well, a great gym, it's the equipment. Yeah. It's the atmosphere. It's the energy. It's the people. And that gym has it all. They have 5 of every piece of equipment. Every single bar in the gym is a Texas Power bar. Every plate is a York plate. And we counted them up one day, and I forget how many thousands of pounds we added in plates. There was, I think, maybe like 400 or so 45-pound plates in the whole gym.
Wow.
So what's your tie with that? I know you actually contributed a lot of equipment, right? And a lot of it was so it was that kind of relationship, huh? Where you just were like, I'm going to bring it and store it here. Is any of your equipment still over there?
Yeah. Yeah. So, those guys.
Or it's more like a donated type deal? Yeah.
Yeah. In 2005, I was 4 weeks out from my first show, and a friend of mine brought me up there. And sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear noise in the background.
You're okay.
Slight, a little bit.
Okay. So we go up there, and when you're training at a gym that's not your home gym or you're not accustomed to, usually at first you don't feel very comfortable. Especially if you're training something like legs. But it was a Saturday. It happened to be the day that my partner and I were training legs. And we both finished the work and we're like, dude, this place is awesome. We just immediately felt right at home. And the owners grabbed me and they're like, who are you? And, introduced myself, and they knew I was competing in a few weeks, and I knew nothing about how to pose. And they're like, well, you need help posing, otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked. And, one of the guys there, Kenny Wallach, who now, does a lot of work in the industry. He helped me with all my posing.
Wow, that's awesome. He was like, that was his gym, huh? Because I've heard that name several times.
That was his home base. And,
Very cool.
The Montanaris, they kind of just took me in, and they're like, hey, man, make yourself at home. Anything you want to do it. And as time went on, the relationship built, and, they ended up giving me a key to the place, and they're like, anytime you need it, just come in and use it. And, once in a while I'd come across a piece of equipment. I'd be like, hey, you mind if I throw it over there? And they're like, no, they didn't care. And I always felt like, I never paid for a gym membership. So if I, added a piece of equipment, then I could feel good about the relationship. And
nice.
It's been almost 20 years, and we've always gotten along really well. I respect the hell out of them. They've got, again, what I consider to be one of the best gyms on the face of the earth. And if I ever go any place, it's there.
Nice. Let's switch gears just real quick. Last question I have for you. You've been with Animal for a long time. Everybody remembers or at least I do, the old black and white videos. I'm sure you get asked about those all the time. They were up in every gym. My home base was Lubbock, Texas, it's not a little town, but it's a West Texas town. Dude, every gym there had your Animal pictures of the black and white, right? With you guys walking with your water jugs. So that's definitely a vintage photo for just our industry in general. Are you still working with Animal, and kind of what's your relationship with there? I know you kind of have a protein or a powder, a meal replacement that you kind of put your stake on. If you want to tell us a little bit about that, and what are you doing with Animal now?
Yeah. So, that relationship started in 2006. And, at the time I had a lot of companies interested in me and sending me contracts. And I'll be honest, there were other companies offering me more money. But in talking to them, I felt the most comfortable with them, and I felt like there was an opportunity for a long-term relationship. That was my gut feeling, and it turned out to be correct. And we're going on, I think this is year 17.
Wow.
Year 17 together, yeah. And I'm really, really
Incredible.
proud of that. I'm really. I know a lot of the attitude nowadays is, don't stay in one place too long, and I don't know. To have one relationship and to build on it and build on it, I'm really, really proud of that. And now it's. I mean, even though I'm not competing anymore, the generation of content that I guess, fans of myself and also fans of the brand have come to expect, it's kind of just as relevant as ever. So they've chosen to keep me on, and I don't know how long the relationship will go. At some time I think, they're going to think I'm ready to be put out to pasture, but it continues, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to continue.
That's awesome. Now you've done like a lot of content videos and stuff for them, correct? Like on YouTube, a lot of those are animal, supported and based.
There's so much stuff we put together over the years, and it's still as relevant as ever because it was real stuff. And I think there's a whole generation of younger guys nowadays who maybe aren't even super aware of animal. And the landscape has changed a little bit. The brand was really, really hardcore at one point, and it still, I think, retains that spirit. But they've looked to try to bring more consumers, to their brand and invite more people in. But there's definitely messages and content and things that are just as relevant now as they've ever been.
Dennis, was there a specific company or relationship that you kind of developed something similar with them, and which one was your favorite to work with, and how long did you? Well, I doubt you can be 18 years or 17 years, but did you ever feel like you had that with a company?
You can't beat that. 17 years. Man, hey, congratulations. It's amazing. So basically the longest time I've been with one company were, I think, 5 years. It was Amyx Nutrition. It was all great. Besides that, we didn't understand each other 200% because, they were from Czech Republic. And, it was difficult, but it worked out very, very good over the, only 5 years. But that's a problem, of course, if you're an athlete, professional athlete, and something is changing in your life, right? So, as example, injury, right? So they're gonna probably keep an eye on it for a year at least, and then or the most, and then they try to get rid of you. So that's what happened with Amyx, right? So I had another 2 years on the contract. So I just signed another big deal for another 5 years. And, 1 year after my injury, they just dropped me like that. So, and of course, that's was not very smart. After, I think 2 years, after 2 years, I won everything, all the cases, and, got paid what was on the contract. So, but other than that, how it ended, I cannot say that was bad. It was really good. Of course, BSN, that was the prior sponsor who I was with for 3 years. But unfortunately, 1 year after I signed the contract, BSN got sold. Right. So, and also another changes happened to the company. They tried to cut my money and all that. Right. So, it's very rare today that you say, a long time, like you, Evan, with the same company, right? So maybe it was not the right thing in the beginning when I was with Nutrix to change, right, to BSN. But it was like money difference, man, it's like almost double, you know. So that's why you go that way, right?
It was interesting because when I was with Animal from the beginning, they said, you know, we understand that you're doing very well, and that's probably going to continue, but it's not necessarily the thing that interests us most about you. So we don't really care if you become Mr. Olympia. We don't care if you win an Arnold Classic. And for me, that was a double-edged sword, because I said, well, here's a company that they're not going to compensate me the way another company might compensate a Mr. Olympia. Yeah. However, on the flip side, it means they're interested in me beyond my competitive success. And that to me meant more to me. And in hindsight, it ended up being the right decision.
Right. Yeah, I think clearly that was a good move on both you guys' parts, because, I mean, a lot of these athletes, you know, they'll just take checks and they may compete. But, I mean, just to see what you've done on YouTube and just, I mean, how well spoken you are and just the videos and all the podcasts you do, I think it was a good investment on their part. Very professional, and I love watching your stuff.
It was a relationship where we both have, we've both benefited and we both won from it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. On that note,
benefit for
are
both
you
sides.
guys I'm sorry, Dennis, are you going to be at the Arnold this year at the Classic with Animal?
We're bringing back the cage.
The cage. All right. Now, what all happens in the cage? I mean, is this mainly powerlifting based? I mean, and where people are like trying to break records and things like that?
Mainly. So, you know, because it's exhibition style and it's lifting, you know, it's the most impressive thing you can show, the most attractive thing. And there've been some incredible lifters in the cage over the years, you know, guys like Andrei Milanichev, Sam Bird, the Lily Bridges, and you know, Steffi Cohen, some really great lifters. I don't even know who they have slated to compete. I think it's somewhat under wraps at the moment, but you know, COVID, when COVID hit, I was literally, my bags were packed. I was set to leave for the Arnold the next morning, and Arnold, you know, canceled the event, and I said, "Wow, this must be something serious." And since then, you know, we haven't really exhibited any place. So now we're getting back out there. There's the Arnold. We're going to be at FIBO in April. So this is exciting.
Wow, nice.
Dennis, you'll be out there.
Are you going to the FIBO yourself?
I will be there.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Dennis, now you got to take me now. Y'all can't just leave me out. That's not fair. I've never, right? Yeah. We'll see about that. Ask the wife. But, well, that's awesome. You're going to be out there. I know the cage attracts a crowd, and we are planning on doing the podcast live there. So you definitely have to stop by and see us.
Absolutely. Love to.
That would be great.
Awesome.
And on just one last note, I mean, so what else are you doing now? Are you coaching any athletes, or is that primarily what you do, or is it more on the business side of things?
I do some online coaching because it's just really because I enjoy it. But the bulk of what I do is working in the financial planning space. So I have my securities license. I have my Series 7. I have my insurance license, and work with a team of financial planners. And you know, it's everything from investment planning, retirement planning, to, you know, solving for insurance needs. So unlike, you know, if you go to say Charles Schwab or Merrill Lynch, and it's like, okay, it's simply about getting assets under management, or you talk to somebody and all they do is sell insurance. We do a lot of actual financial planning. So we're looking at things with through a broader lens. But then we're also able to solve for any of those needs as well. It's a team of 6 of us, really, really successful group of guys, 6 of us, 4 staff members, and that's it, man. And it's cool because a lot of my clients have come from the bodybuilding and fitness industry. So it's been fun. It's been very fun.
Very cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Very
well, congratulations on
nice.
that. Dennis, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
Awesome.
What else you got, Dennis? Anything else you want to ask Evan, or you guys want to share for it? Any stories?
One question. So, what is your daily basis, right? So, like, are you wanna stay lean and like not getting heavier, or are you kind of still, sometimes look in the mirror and say like, man, I want to be a little bit bigger, fuller, and then you just kind of implement that, and then just see, okay, now I look like that, and try to feel like, okay, does it feel better or worse, combined with all the work you have to do and all of that. So just kind of for myself, because I'm not wanting to gain any weight, just staying lean and in good condition. So how is it with you?
So for me, I'd be lying if I said that it's easy to kind of just let go of it entirely, because it's been what I do for so long. So, if when I'm working out, I still have to train kind of heavy, and push myself. But, right now I'm 255 pounds. I used to compete heavier than this. So I'm certainly not as big as I used to be, and I don't put in nearly as much time. My workouts are very brief. But I feel like I've been able to strike a good balance where, in the wintertime, okay, I put on a little bit of weight and I let my body have a break. And then in the spring, get in shape. And then I can usually kind of hold that throughout the summer and feel comfortable and feel good about how I look. So I feel like I've struck a good balance between, my health is good. All my blood work, everything is perfect. Between being healthy, not putting in too much time, but then also being satisfied with how I look.
All right.
Evan, is cardio a daily part of your routine, or is it just kind of whenever you can get it in? Or
I'll be honest, I don't do any cardio.
And you and Dennis, both of y'all are sorry, man. I literally do 20 to 30 every day. For fat loss or to keep that in check, but just for health reasons. But yeah, good for you guys, man. Because I could definitely
get in shape. It's in the summer, of course.
Yeah.
But that's always been the way I did it. I never did cardio in an off season. Although, to your point, is it healthy? Yes, absolutely, and I probably should do it.
Can you tell us about, you're 250 plus, about how many calories do you take now? I'm curious. I'm about 220. It just said you kind of have a maintenance, where you're at, or you just eat when you're hungry?
I don't even add them up, but each meal is like 7 ounces of chicken or fish, some vegetables. And then a lot of times, for carbohydrates, maybe I'll just have a piece of fruit. It's not like I'm eating a lot of rice anymore or things like that. So I can't imagine that I'm eating much more than, maybe 2,500 calories a day, or, maybe 3,000. I would be surprised if it was even that much.
Okay. Yeah. And how many times a day you eating? 4, maybe 5?
Usually okay. 4 at minimum, but usually more like 5.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better. That's about where I'm at, about 500 calories a meal, 2,500. So I was just curious. I think once your body gets that size, you pay, it just hangs on to it. I'm kind of surprised you eat that and you're still 250, but I think you have a big frame and you were just that big for so long. Dennis, I think you're kind of rare. You're real lean, but you kind of lost it pretty good and but stayed lean at the same time.
Right. Yeah. The injury was the main thing why I had to kind of lose all the weight, because I couldn't train for a while. I couldn't feel my my left side of my body for a long time, even after the surgery. But in the end, I think after 2 years, I kind of catch that where I like to stay, where I feel great. So, and this is like 220, 215, that feels amazing. I like the look. I look, it still like as example, people still ask me if I work out, and I'm like, man, if you knew, so it means I look good. So, and this is my goal, to stay like that, just being lean and healthy, right? So I'm eating probably like 3 meals always, but 4 meals, I will keep my weight, you know. So, but if I would add another meal, like 5 meals, I would grow. So that's the thing. So I'm staying like 3-4 meals, kind of balancing my weight, like a little bit up, a little bit down. So, and sometimes, you know, I take a rest like for a couple of days in between, you know, my workouts, like right now. So I train maybe 3 times this week, you know, that's it. So kind of, it gets easier with the time. In the beginning, you're all stressed out because you don't understand what to do. And of course, if you lose some weight, you don't like yourself. You don't like looking at yourself in the mirror. All these things need time to kind of let you understand that's, you know, it's not important anymore to look like, you know, like a monster because you're not competing. You know, you have no goals in this matter, you know. So, and yeah, like I said, time heals almost everything, but not, you know, not everything. But with time, you get to that point where you say, okay, man, I love that, and I'm gonna stay and then you know, do the same thing to keep that you know, in balance, I would say, right?
Amen.
Good.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for giving us a kind of an update on what you guys are doing now and eating, and you know, us 40-year-old plus guys can kind of take that and do what we want with it. So
we're all getting
Evan,
old, so and then we need to adapt to the age and also what we do. You know, I mean, you can't lift that crazy weight and continue to do like this insane training sessions, right? When you're over 40. You know, like when you're 20, it's a different time, you know. So the body heals quick. Every injury you get in the workout, like small one, whatever, next day you don't feel anything. Right now, you know, that throws you out for 2 weeks, you know, if you can walk or, you know, can lift, whatever, shoulder hurts, things like that happens now.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Thank you again, Evan, for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you at the Arnold, and
Absolutely.
good with everything you're doing. And you guys stay healthy till then. That's going to do it for Zach Barnard and Dennis, Dennis the Big Bad Wolf. That's another episode of Big Bad Bodybuilding. See you next time.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.